Hey there guys, welcome back. I had a really busy day yesterday, so I just wasn't able to get out a video. Today I want to just go through a couple charts, give everyone a quick update on some of the things that I constantly look at to try to get a read on where the market's heading, and we'll get right into it. So leave me a thumbs up if you find some value in the content. Hopefully we can spot some ideas and trends. Let's get started. All right, Nasdaq futures. The only thing that I really see, we're still in this upward price channel right here, still working our way up. The only thing I can see on the daily chart, if I point this out, is we've got this big megaphone pattern that's kind of coming together. Perhaps this trend line is valid. You can see here running all the way back to January 2018. We've got a top there, reaction right in here, and then we had a reaction right there, and it looks like we're running up to do another test of this trend line. So that's possible. It's up there a ways, a little bit more to go. But I mean, if you look at the bigger picture at this point, I don't think it makes sense for people to be long or to go long, I guess, if you haven't already been long, and just let this. To me, this looks like the kind of ending move of this rally right here. So I think we're probably due for a pullback. Doesn't mean it has to be a bear market rally. I mean, we could be, we could just get a correction and then continue rallying. But this move right here is pretty overextended. RSI, look at the RSI. It's up here around 70. So it's up in the area. I mean, you can see when we had this pullback, this big sell-off right here, the RSI was sitting at 74. And we are sitting at 73 right now on the RSI. So pretty overextended. So that's just that. Let's move on to ES. So look, ES, this is the SPY futures. You can see here we had a bearish rising wedge. We overshot it to the upside. Now it's starting to fade. You can see we're starting to fade. So this could be kind of this is possible that this is a bull trap right here that it's creating when we overshot this bearish pattern. So we'll have to continue to watch it, but it is starting to roll over. And if it breaks down to the bottom of this wedge down here, basically just slices right through here, then that would be a break of this bearish rising wedge pattern and to the downside like it's supposed to resolve. So this move to the other side is oftentimes a fake out, and so you watch for that. So far the price action looks like it's starting to roll over, so we'll just see. It could just run down to here, tag this bottom area, and then bounce. This is an hourly chart of the S&P 500 futures. Okay, here's the triple Qs, the Nasdaq 100 ETF. And you can see same kind of pattern, bearish rising wedge right here, overshot to the upside. Now this one just is continuing to run higher. So, I mean, there's nothing that I see on this chart that tells me, I just don't see a trade right now at these levels. So what I'm looking for is kind of the next move. And, because it's a bearish pattern, I'm looking for it to break to the downside, but it doesn't mean it has to. But it needs to show me some sort of signal. So as of right now, we're at all-time high. We're at all-time highs now, and it's continuing to move higher. Not impulsively. I mean, we're just kind of grinding higher a little bit each day. So at this point, what I'm looking for is to see if this bearish rising wedge pattern is going to break down. We've already broken to the upside, so that is a breakout to the upside. I'm waiting to see if this is a fake out and if we're going to roll over. So kind of a no touch on that one. Here's the SPY. You can see we've got this big bearish rising wedge in the SPY, S&P 500. This is an hourly chart, and we've been working our way up within this wedge. This is the entire rally that we've been in, is within this wedge. And recently, we've just kind of been chopping around the top. We overshot it a little bit, but then today gapped it down, and we're back within the wedge. So that's bearish. I mean, it is a false breakout right there. So we'll see. I think this maybe wants to at least run down to the bottom of the wedge. And then what I'm looking for swing trading or, the trend trading, trying to catch the next major trend, is a breakdown of this bearish rising wedge. So until that happens, I'm just going to continue to watch that. Okay, now we'll just go through some sectors and look at some individual stocks. and then I'll get over to gold stocks. Something happened in gold that's kind of interesting, so stay tuned for that. Here's XLV, and basically sideways pattern that we've had for 6 weeks. We broke to the upside, but it's the same thing. It's not impulsive. We just broke to the upside and just been grinding around up there to the upside. So what I'm waiting for is some sort of a breakdown signal to show me that this was just a fake out move before, probably reestablishing a short. I like this one for a short, but I'm still waiting for that breakdown move. So the level, this line, this resistance line, I kept having to move it up. And that's one of the reasons why I got out of this short, because I originally had it down here and we popped it several times, and then I had it, I could leave it here. You can see down here, we popped it several times, and then we finally popped it, and then it held the support. You can see here it was holding a support. So, I could leave that there, and then, up top we've, I moved the line up here to show kind of the recent support, and we popped that. So ultimately, it's just moving higher, so we just have to kind of wait and see what that wants to do. It's kind of a no-touch right now. Here's XLK, tech sector. Same thing as Q's, bearish rising wedge, broke to the upside. It's still moving higher. Nothing to do on that one right there. It's this is not at all-time highs because this doesn't have Amazon in it. So all-time highs right up here is probably your next level of resistance. We could easily pop that since the Q's has popped it, so we could see that pop, and then we'll have to watch what it wants to do. But again, it's not an objective level to really get long, and there's no breakdowns or sell signals to get short. So it's kind of, just for me, I'm just watching it. Here's XLF. We're just kind of walking up this price channel. It's just an upward price channel. We're right in the middle of it right now. This is an hourly chart, so ultimately, this just continues to run higher, and it's bullish in general. So we got to just continue to watch that. If I go to the daily here on XLF, you can see pretty overbought though. See the RSI sitting at 67.50. It's come down just a little bit today, but yesterday we were up there at 73, which is pretty overbought for this ETF. You can see that that's the levels we start to get pullback. So this might be it, but again, it's still in an upward price channel, so there's no breakdown, no sell signals, nothing to get short off of. So we'll just continue to watch this. Okay, Walmart. So I am personally short this one, just full disclosure. And I got short right here on this breakdown. It's been a while. Been sitting in it for about 43 days, so a little over a month. And it is profitable, obviously. It's profitable by about 5.5%, and it continues to work in my direction. So I'm sticking with the trade. Everything looks good on this one. Just to cover this again, here's your daily chart. So that you have a really big bearish rising wedge on this daily chart. Let me get rid of that. Really big bearish rising wedge on this daily chart here, going all the way back to January of 2015. So you can draw this out, and as I zoom in, that's where this comes in, this red line, that's resistance. We overshot that resistance, just like those other patterns and the major indices as well. We had a bearish rising wedge pattern. We overshot it up in this area, and then we broke down and recovered the bearish rising wedge, and it continues to sell off. Even when the market's strong on strong days, I'm still seeing this thing sell off a little bit. So it's showing relative weakness, and that's good when when something is showing weakness when you're short, when the rest of the market's going up. So we're going to continue to stick with this. At this point, I think my target is going to be the bottom of this wedge. At least I'll probably take, at least 75% of the trade off at the bottom of this wedge, and then I could potentially keep the rest, the 25%, to see if we're going to break down out of this wedge. And because if we break down, we could have a really big break, and that could get us all the way down to $82 or so. Somewhere right in there might be the target for that. And so we're going to continue to watch this. Apple. So this thing's been pretty strong. It's just continuing to work its way up in this rising price channel. We've popped it a little bit today. I suspect they'll fade this though. This probably will fade and close back within this rising price channel. But for the bigger trade, we're looking for some sort of a breakdown of Apple, probably below this. We need some sort of a sell signal below the bottom of this price channel, and that will help trigger the sell signal in the Qs and some of the other tech stocks as well. So this continues to work its way higher. We're at all-time highs, and it is, if I go to the daily chart, it is overbought. You know, we're sitting at 75 on the RSI. We can get up to 84, 85 in this thing before it becomes extremely overbought. So this has a little bit more to go on the RSI to trigger a kind of a sell-off watch. RSI for me just triggers a sell-off watch. All it does is let me know that we're probably going to get a reversal soon, and so I watch it a little closer. But for now, we have that rising price channel, and everything in this stock is so far bullish. So continuing to watch this. Microsoft, same deal as Apple, rising price channel. This one right here broke to the upside, continuing to move higher. A breakdown of this lower price channel down here, this lower trend line, would be the breakdown. Until then, it continues to move higher, and it's moving towards all-time highs. We don't want to let's see here. NVIDIA, rallying a little bit today. I'm short this one from this breakdown gap right here. Actually, I got short on the kickback right here. When it kicked back, I got short about here. So I'm down on this one about 4% so far. I am looking at a stop somewhere right up in here, probably 362-ish. I might target the top, a close above here. That's 360, 360. So if I get a daily close above here, or probably even an hourly close actually, then I'll stop out on this one. But it's still, within my trade parameters, and I'm looking for this to roll over. So we're going to continue to watch this and just let it play out as expected. Let's look here. We've got, here's Zoom. This is another short that I have. And this continues to work as well. The one thing, though, is I'm a little hesitant on my upward trend line right up here. I want to kind of point that out. So we have a bearish rising wedge in Zoom, and we're at the top of the wedge, and we continue to get rejected. You can see we gap down here, kickback rally there, failed, gap down again, kickback rally, and then today selling off, actually getting a sell-off candle. So maybe that's it for the kickback rallies. But the one thing I want to point out that I'm a little hesitant is this trend line. I can draw it several ways. I mean, I could draw it, I could make it come down to here. I could connect the top right here. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see I could connect the top right there. Let me shorten that up right there. So if I connect the top of this reaction and I connect this reaction here, then we've got price action like this. We're still below it. It still looks like a rejection, so that still looks good. But yesterday we were popping above it, so it, again, my trend line could be drawn several ways. So I'm looking for a few more data points to give me confirmation that my trend line up here is accurate, because I have it drawn down here and something like that. And so again, it could be drawn several ways. So I don't have enough data. So what I did yesterday is I closed half my position on this. I covered half at break even pretty much, because I got in right here. So I got in up here when it started to sell off. So that was profitable, but not as profitable as what it was. So I closed half, and I'll add that half back in if I can continue to get some sort of confirmation around these levels. I'm looking for some sort of price action that confirms that this trend line is being obeyed and it is reacting around. So what I'm looking for is a breakdown to the gap right here. Here's the gap down here at 183. So I'm looking for a breakdown to the gap, a gap fill, probably get some sort of a reaction up there, and then ultimately come down and tag the bottom of this trend line. So looking for that. From here where we're at, that is a move of about 17%. Looking for that trade. This one's interesting. This could be a really good short. It's been a very good long. I was not in it, but this is DraftKings. I kind of was scanning the internet yesterday. I found this one. So basically, this has had a rally from the low here in this price channel of 236%. So monster trade there, and it's a nice, just impulsive, sharp move up. You can see here we had liftoff right off of the trend line, and that might be it for this rally. So what I'm waiting for is a breakdown of this upward price channel. This is an hourly chart. We haven't got it yet. You can see yesterday they undercut it and recovered it, and then today they opened right at support and are bouncing off of it a little bit. So I did take a quick little day trade on this one to the long side. I'm no longer in that trade, but what I'm looking for the next big move, maybe a 100% move or some sort of big short, is a breakdown of this trend line. We have negative divergence in the RSI and the RSI down here and the PPO. So momentum is fading. So we're losing momentum. That's really all that says. And now we're looking for the sell signal. So that's DKNG. I'm going to watch this one closely. This one has the potential to be a big trade, but also, because it has the potential to move so much, I'll probably take a smaller position size. That's just how I prefer to do it. I don't want to get too heavy and then get chopped up too bad. So I'll probably take like a half position size on this one. And that works because if this has the potential to move, 100% or so, I don't need as large of a position size to make a good amount. So that's what I'm looking for on that one. Okay, something that's also strange to me is this is bonds. This is treasury bonds here. The BND ETF, it tracks treasury bonds. And we have not had any real sell-off in bonds. The markets have been rallying to all-time new highs, and yet bond traders are not, exiting bond positions, and you're not seeing that sell-off. Now, the Federal Reserve is in here jacking up everything, buying these things, buying treasury bonds. So there is some manipulation. So it's not the best thing to read right now, but I'm not seeing any real selling in general of the bonds. And when I looked at a chart the other day, and the Fed has actually tapered off a lot of its bond buying, a lot of its bond buying monetary value right now. So it's not buying as much. It is buying some, but not nearly as much. So if sellers wanted to sell, you'd probably see this thing starting to move down, and I'm not. So that's interesting. And oftentimes, if traders believe that stocks are going to continue to make all-time new highs and start a new bull market, you'd see bonds start to sell off. I'm not seeing it. So again, just something to point out. And then also that kind of goes with the gold trade. So here's gold bullion. We had a false breakdown in gold right here. So here's your breakdown. You can see a trend line reaction here. I could probably draw it out down to here too. We had reaction here, reaction. Here's another one. And then we undercut it right here. Looked like it was going to break down, but it was instantly recovered. We're back above 1,700. There's no sell-off really in gold, and that's another something to actually point out is why are people not selling bonds and why are they not selling gold? The safe haven plays if they believe the market's going to continue to rally. So that's something to notice. So here, let's get into these gold miners. Since we had a false breakdown, that's pretty bullish for gold and gold miners. So now I'm kind of looking at these. I actually added to this AEM, Agnico Eagle, today. So I'm starting to rebuild my gold mining positions, and I'm looking for entries around support. And here's what I see in this AEM. We've got this gap right here, this big gap, and you can see that's a well-watched level right there on the gap. We undercut that gap right here, it looked like we were going to actually head down towards the bottom of the gap, but we didn't. We snapped up and recovered. And then you can see they've sold off to support right here. This is the top of the gap. See the sell-off? It held support and then popped up and is moving higher today. So this looks good. This looks like a good level to me, or a good entry level for support. And that's just how I'm going to trade it. And if this holds and we start to move higher, you know, the all-time, or sorry, not the all-time highs, but the recent highs right up here from where we're at down here is about 15.5%, 16%. So I'm looking for that I'm looking for this to start to move higher and work its way higher. We'll watch that. Let's look at some of these other gold miners. Here's Barrick Gold. I also like this one. This one didn't have as clean a levels. The Agnico Eagle AEM, the levels looked a little cleaner. But I had support right here at 2250. We ran down and tagged it and undercut it just slightly, and it have moved up, you know, pretty impulsively from that level. You can see since we tagged that level that I had marked out, we're up about 8.5%. So I did buy a little bit of Barrick down here, like I said I was going to. And I told everyone in several videos that my buy zone was going to be, you know, anywhere from 22.50 down to 20, you know, about $20. I was going to start buying as we started to enter these levels. So I took a small, you know, I bought some right down there, up 8.5% on that one so far, and going to continue to see what happens. If this wants to, you know, if this makes a new high right here and breaks this 24.80, then that would be a new high, and we would have a low, and then we'd have a higher high, and then you look for a higher low to kind of confirm a trend reversal. And then if this wants to move higher, going back up to the recent ranges, you know, that's a 16.5% gain up there. So we'll watch these. Okay, that's all I got for now, guys. So let me know if you guys find value in the content. Leave me a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll keep you guys posted on what I'm seeing. Thanks. Bye.